My daughter is Ella. She's 2 years and 4 months old. She's got unilateral deafness in her left ear. She's super fun. She's a really happy child. She likes to play, pretending that she's making food. Ella was diagnosed through the newborn screening. Initially, it sounded like there was a bit of an anomaly with her left ear. They weren't too sure if she was deaf or not. They kind of assumed that there was a bit of mucus, so they waited and they came back the next day. And that's when they said that there was deafness in her left ear. So that's when we were referred to our local audiology department. The audiology department explained the screening process really well. And once we had Ella's diagnosis of deafness, they explained the level of the deafness, how they had tested it, and what that meant for her in comparison to what you would consider normal hearing. The causes of the deafness was a little bit more challenging. It turned out that it was through congenital CMV. The process for testing of that was longer than it should have been, which meant that treatment for it started later than it should have. So as a result, we think that perhaps her hearing has worsened because of that. However, I can't fault the actual audiology support that we've had. We go quite regularly for testing. Initially, with Ella's diagnosis, it was a moderate loss. So we decided to monitor her development as she was still quite young. We had support from the audiologist and Ella's teacher of the deaf. We decided to keep monitoring her until she was about 1.5 years old, where results of her hearing test showed that it was getting worse. We made the decision to go down the route of having a hearing aid fitted. Firstly, because we felt that there was a lot more loss there. We didn't want her to feel like she was missing out on any information. It wasn't a quick decision that we made. We wanted to make sure that we weren't overwhelming Ella. We ultimately felt like it would be the best choice to make for her. We did notice some changes. As soon as she had her hearing aid fitted, it was within a few weeks where we noticed words being put together, and even the nursery pointed out that they'd noticed a massive change in her communication. Our biggest support in all of this has been our teacher of the deaf. She has been so helpful in making sure that we understand kind of the bigger picture. She has been so supportive in making sure that Ella's happy with her hearing aid, and she's been giving me lots of extra information about how to care for Ella with her hearing aid as well. And the audiology team that we have been really helpful, as we can call them at the last minute, and at the drop of the hat they'll just offer an extra session to make sure that everything's okay with her. Both of those teams have been really fantastic for us. Our nursery has been really supportive, and they've recently hired a new member of staff who actually uses BSL, so that's been really helpful because Ella is able to practice. So we're very, very much looking at trying to use more signing. We do use it a lot more when we're in public spaces because it's louder, and she automatically looks to my hands and my face so that she can figure out what's going on, especially if we go somewhere like a swimming pool where we don't take her hearing aid. Ella's teacher of the deaf comes once a term, sometimes once a half term, depending on her availability. I don't know that we could have done it without our teacher of the deaf. She's just been this, I don't know, like a fairy godmother for us. She completely understands our decision to learn sign. She's provided loads of resources for us. She goes to the nursery as well, and she makes sure that they're able to give Ella the right help. I'm quite a pragmatic person, and she gives me opportunities to kind of figure out where Ella is in terms of her deafness and in terms of kind of learning milestones. You know, we have an audiology report and we have what the nursery says, but we find it quite hard to piece those together. So she's been really, really useful to us and really friendly, someone who understands what's going on and is able to provide us with the right kind of words of support. There is a worry that Ella's hearing continues to get worse. So she's gone from moderate loss to now severe, bordering on profound in that ear. There's always the worry that it might affect her right ear. We're so lucky that we've got such an easygoing child. She's relatively good at communicating how she's feeling. Ella kept signing that there was something wrong with her ear. We took her straight to the audiologist, and it turned out that her hearing had got worse. She's a bit more aware now, so when we do any hearing tests, she notices that it's more challenging when they test her good ear first and then they test the ear that's deaf, she recognises that she gets more frustrated. I think that we remain very positive for the future as we have these really helpful teams around us. But obviously there's always the back of the mind where you think, oh, what if it gets worse? What if it affects the other ear and so on? But we know that we have lots of different options and we can ask for advice if we need it. I just think that it's really important to make sure you ask questions. And for me in particular, I wish that I'd asked more questions early on. It's nice to know that there's so many teams out there that can support us. And whilst the diagnosis of CMV was slower, our support has been really good since, and everything got put into place really quickly once the diagnosis was made. Well, I think the most important thing is remaining positive. When you get the initial diagnosis, I think it is really overwhelming and it's quite scary. It's so important to teach people and raise awareness that, deafness doesn't have to hold someone back.